What's up, Flick Connection? This is Darren. I can't wait to see Guillermo Del Toro's latest movie, The Shape of Water. So I've got a list of movies I'm going to be watching in preparation for this film's release, and I'm going to share that with you now. So I really love Guillermo Del Toro's work, particularly his more supernatural horror type stuff. I really considered this to be sort of a return to form for him after doing movies like Pacific Rim and Hellboy. But that said, I think The Shape of Water is going to be one of his best films in a long time. And there are some movies that definitely influenced it, and some others that are just really good primers for this new movie. So let's go ahead and start with the list. In no particular order, I want to start off with a very obvious one, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. This one's obvious for many reasons. Obviously, the creature in both movies is very similar. The creature design from Creature from the Black Lagoon is such a classic monster design, and it clearly influenced Del Toro when he was creating the creature for The Shape of Water, which he does in most of his movies. In fact, if you're a big fan of his work, I highly recommend checking out this book, Guillermo Del Toro, Cabinet of Curiosities. It's got a lot of really interesting stuff in it, but what really stands out are some of his sketches in his notebooks that he uses to prepare for films. And there's notes and sketches in here for some movies that were never made. So that's really interesting. But he designed the creature for this one like he does in most movies. And Creature from the Black Lagoon is a big, big draw. And if you never saw this classic monster movie, it still stands up today. Some of the underwater shots are really incredible for the time. They're crisp. The monsters coming out of seaweed. The more you know about this movie, the more interesting it is. The actor playing the creature is actually swimming, holding his breath, or has a hidden oxygen tank in the costume where he's able to breathe underwater for long periods of time. But he's actually performing a lot of stunts and swimming underwater in this full body suit. It's just really impressive, and the story is pretty good, and some of the scenes are pretty intense if you allow yourself to get into it. So if it's been a while since you've seen it or you've never seen it, this is one of the best ones you could watch to prep for The Shape of Water. In fact, you're gonna miss stuff or not get as much out of The Shape of Water if you've never seen The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Another obvious inspiration, particularly for the creature design, is Abe from Hellboy, which Guillermo Del Toro directed. In fact, the same actor, Doug Jones, plays both characters because he's a very, very tall, very, very lanky, sort of contortionist type actor, so he works really well for these full body suits. In fact, that's almost exclusively the type of work that he does, but he's the creature in both. The color on both characters is very similar, the overall design, but it is different. And despite some fan rumors, Del Toro himself denies the fact that there's a connection between the two, that they exist in the same universe, The Shape of Water and Hellboy. I think he just really liked that character design and used it as inspiration for this new original movie. Michael Shannon, one of my favorite actors, stars in The Shape of Water, but a really good sort of small sci-fi movie you could watch starring him that came out recently that a lot of people didn't see is Midnight Special. I really, really liked this movie. In it, Shannon is transporting his son, who appears to have some sort of supernatural powers. He's trying to move him and hide him. And it's sort of a road type movie, but there is a supernatural element. But it's one of those sci-fi movies that's really small. It doesn't have this big scope like a lot of big blockbusters have. So that's what's interesting about it. And I know The Shape of Water is going to be bigger in terms of the set pieces and the production design and everything, but still kind of a smaller story. And Michael Shannon appears to be playing the villain in this movie, which would be a nice way to contrast where he's sort of the hero of Midnight Special, if there is one, and he appears to be the villain in The Shape of Water. So there's some nice contrast there. I might only be watching it because I liked it so much, but I certainly want to take this as an opportunity to recommend it. Pan's Labyrinth is another obvious one. It's considered one of Del Toro's best films. It'd be hard to argue with that. It's not necessarily my favorite, but it probably is his best and his most successful as an original piece. He got a lot of stuff into that movie. I'm hoping he does a lot with this one. Maybe not quite as much, but I think there's going to be more to this movie than we're getting from the trailer. So that's one reason I'm really excited to see it. But Pan's Labyrinth would be a great one to watch again just for the creature design and the set designs and all of the production work in it. It'd be great to watch that and see kind of how things have changed when you go to see The Shape of Water. It's certainly a good primer for this new Del Toro flick. The Shape of Water takes place during the Cold War, sort of in a science lab. So a very unrelated movie in terms of the overall themes is Dr. Strangelove, but it'd still be a great one to watch just to get that feel for sort of the Cold War cinema, element. There's a lot of things you could pick from, but in terms of like a Cold War era classic movie, it'd be harder to find one better than Dr. Strangelove. Another one that would be great, it's another sci-fi flick that a lot of people fortunately saw because it really is good, is Ex Machina. I recommend this one to anyone because I really enjoyed it. But another reason for this one is because The Shape of Water appears to have an ordinary person basically confronted with a science experiment, a humanoid-ish science experiment, and there appears to be some sort of bond, if not a love story, that develops between the two of them. That's at least what we're getting from the trailers and the synopsis, and that's basically what the movie's about. But Ex Machina is not much different. In fact, it's got a very similar template. It goes in a very unique direction. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But it's got a lot in common there. And for that reason, I'm definitely going to watch it because I'm curious to see how those two movies relate and how they differ. One of Del Toro's favorite movies is a must-watch because I think it's going to have a lot more in common than it appears to have. Possibly more in common with The Shape of Water than The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and they come from the same era, and that is Frankenstein. The original movie based on Mary Shelley's book. This one, like I said, it's one of Del Toro's favorites. I have to watch it. I know the story, but I have to watch it to see if it's influenced The Shape of Water, how Del Toro allowed that to sort of play out on screen. Are there Easter eggs? Are there clues? Are there things really, really, obvious? Or there may be some hidden things that I could do another video on later. So I'm definitely going to be watching that one. It's not an obvious pick, but that's why I think it's one of the more interesting ones on the list. So I'm really looking forward to watching that, as well as everything else I just mentioned. If you're going to watch some of these with me in preparation for the movie, let me know in the comments below. If you have any additional recommendations before seeing The Shape of Water, or maybe after, if you've seen The Shape of Water and are watching this movie in the future, let us know in the comments as well. But likes are always appreciated. Thanks for watching, and you will see me next time.